We basically nuked a town. This is what specialists are saying. We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get the railroad open. But yeah, that was basically the whole thing. It just pointed out, like, hey, you guys were, this was the Boogaloo Boy. This is in November, right? This was the guy who was exposed as a Boogaloo Boy, tweeting about derailing trains, right? He got exposed as a Boogaloo Boy, left for 2 months, and then came back and pretended like nothing happened, and none of the anarcho-nihilists who claim to totally not be eco-fascists seem to have any problem with still being friends with the Boogaloo Boy. But basically saying, you know, this is what happens when you derail a train, right? Really bad things happen. You firebomb poor communities. Trains don't run in the wealthy communities, and while not every train is carrying chemicals, many, many trains are. At this point, it's very clear that the rail infrastructure in the United States is crumbling. And it's the other weird thing they did is they claimed that we were accusing them of having derailed the train in Ohio. Whoa, your "you didn't derail a train" shirt is really raising a lot of questions that shirt's supposed to answer. But yes, we've had now in Houston, another train derail, so the second train in a week to derail in the United States. We have talked about this a bit, but essentially, the laws for rail safety are obviously abysmal in the United States. Since 2015, they have been stripped to the bone at the pressure of corporate lobbyists, including Norfolk Southern, right, who was 100% completely responsible for the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Responsible physically and responsible morally and ethically for the train derailment. Norfolk Southern, amongst many other companies, lobbied to have basically safety guidelines for rail freight transit stripped, right? Make it more restrictive on what can be classified as hazardous cargo to make it easier. Basically, they changed it so with the exception of like oil, with the exception of oil, most things are no longer classed as hazardous, right? They also killed some brake safety rules that would have forced them to update the brakes on their trains from air brakes, which were first invented in 1868, to electronic braking systems, which were rolled out in the 90s, right? So while China is developing high-speed bullet trains that crisscross 1/10 of the world's landmass, America is still using trains to freight things with Civil War-era braking technology that has like a 25-30% chance of derailing a train if used, right? Because the air brakes, unlike the electronic brakes, which clamp the axles of all the cars simultaneously as a unit, the air brakes brake each car individually. Well, that's a great way to derail the train. Yeah, well, too bad. I'm just going to time you out if you keep it up. Right? That's a great way to derail trains. So, they have, the lobbyists for the rail industries have done a couple things. They have helped get the DOT to reclassify toxic chemicals as not hazardous under most circumstances, to stop a rule from imposing brake updates or brake upgrades on trains carrying hazardous materials, so they're still using the same 1868 schematics, and shot down other brake safety rules, in addition to shutting down labor complaints, right? Because past 2015, these companies started laying people off in droves and using that money to do stock buybacks because the labor rules for train were loosened, right? They lay people off, they do overwork, right? They do a skeleton lean scheduling, right? Lean staffing, rather. So people are working really long hours, really overworked, too many people on the train. The people are tired, right? Which is, once again, combine that with old, inadequate brakes and improper hazardous material classifications. That is the recipe for a derailment. And there have been constant calls from the rail workers union that this was going to happen, that we were going to have trains derail, and we were going to have more trains. This wasn't going to be the last one. They warned about this prior to East Palestine, and they warned again that this would not be the last time a train derailed because of the crushing of the safety rules imposed by train lobbyists such as Norfolk Southern. And the unions were saying that like 5 days ago after the derailment. They were saying this is going to happen again. And it did. So we had another train derail in Houston, this time, fortunately, not carrying enough hazardous material to cause a problem. Emergency crews have responded to a train derailment. Wait, is this a separate one? I thought we had one in Houston. Am I wrong that it was in Houston, or is there two? Okay, cool. Oh, cool. So there's 3 train derailments. Great. So, wow. Unions were saying, like, there is going to be a lot more trains derailing. And sure enough, there is. So we had this train derail earlier today in South Carolina. Multiple emergency crews are responding to train derailment in Annery, South Carolina. And then we had the one in Houston, Texas earlier. Deadly train derailment near Houston. Officials now responding to another deadly train derailment. Over 16 rail cars carrying hazardous material crashed. Two more derailments in the week after we were warned by the rail workers union that the inadequate braking safety, the inadequate classification of hazardous materials, and the inadequate staffing and time and sleep hours given to the employees on these trains, in combined with the absolutely aging infrastructure. I mean, look at the condition of these tracks. They're just rusted out and the boards are falling apart, and you can see that from the air, right? Those all combined together is absolutely disastrous. Now, more updates on what's going on in East Palestine, because the situation is not getting any better in Ohio. This is what happened to a car driving through the rain in Ohio, 70 miles away from East Palestine. Now remember, the EPA and local authorities have said it is safe. The air quality is safe. Do not worry about all the fish kill. Do not worry about your chickens and your dogs and your cats all suddenly dying. It is safe. Ignore the giant, ominous black clouds in the sky full of toxic material. Please go back to work. Right? Please go back to your house. So this is 70 miles from East Palestine. What the fucking car looks like after driving through the rain. It looks like it's been fucking etched with acid, because it probably has been etched with hydrochloric acid. It'd be cool if I never had to clean up my messes and I could just set them on fire. Well, that's exactly what the EPA and the rail companies have decided to do. Oh, you don't want to clean up your giant toxic mess? Easy. Set it on fire. Wait. Set it on fire? Yeah. Set it on fire. Just set it on fire. So we're going to watch some videos from people in East Palestine.
My current best friend literally lives right next to the town. It is so much worse than what the media is telling any of us.
Yeah,
I'm getting reports from people that are down there right now that they're literally seeing schools of fish floating down streams, rivers, fucking dead. I got a video from my friend.
Please do.
Okay? And she's like walking, dude. It's all fucking dead. All fucking dead. And on the top of the water is a really pretty chemical rainbow sheen. The chemicals are in the fucking water, and they're lying to the rest of the country saying...
Yep, they absolutely are. They are... The media has covered this, right? To give credit, the media has talked about this. They have covered it. Some media outlets have covered the fish kill. Some media outlets have covered the fact that things seem to be worse in East Palestine than the government is saying. Media has covered the fact that reporters have been arrested, that they are trying to scare people away. But the official statement on the matter is it is still fine. Now, we're going to watch the rest of this, but I want to reiterate. This East Palestine crash happened days ago. Days ago. We know why it happened, probably, right? The brake rules, right? Because it looks like an axle flew off the train 20 miles prior, and when they did try to brake, it caused a derailment. Currently, the Department of Transportation under Pete Buttigieg has said that they are not at this time looking at increasing rail safety standards. They are, however, considering an industry bill to further lower braking requirements for freight trains. But you know what else the DOT hasn't done? They haven't said fucking a word about the East Palestine derailment. They have not said anything. Buttigieg has not said anything about it. And he finally crawled out of his little rat hole. He chewed through all the cheese he had stored for the winter, and he's gonna come out, and he came out today and he spoke. And what he said was not exactly reassuring.
Saying they're not. The water's been contaminated. The soil's been contaminated. The fucking air is contaminated. You literally are about to see some of the worst fucking health side effects coming out of people in that town. It's not even funny. And y'all want to know something even more fucked up? The restaurant that I work at in a whole different state had to donate food to them because we had people from the churches calling to tell us that Red Cross never fucking came. FEMA never fucking came.
Of course.
The environmental conservationists still have yet to fucking come, and nobody's fucking helping them.
I mean, it's a poor, working-class town in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. That's why the freight rail goes through there. Nobody fucking cares.
All of the fucking firefighters that were working get no food, have nothing to help them, nothing. Okay, all the people that were displaced have no food, water, a place to stay. None of that shit.
And remember, the rail company offered $25,000, $5 a person to the residents of East Palestine to pay for the inconvenience of evacuation. Because as far as they're concerned, it's the town's safe. Right? Why are they going to pay for abatement? Why are they going to pay for these people to be housed elsewhere and fed? Why would they do that? The town is safe. Come back to East Palestine, stay in your house, and shut the fuck up.
It is so much worse than what they're telling you, and TikTok probably won't even let me post this video. But if this video gets posted, please save it and repost it everywhere you fucking can. Because I'm telling y'all, they are covering this shit up. They are covering this shit up because they don't want to get out how bad it actually was.
Right, and like somebody in chat pointed out, right, it's being discussed, but it is not being discussed as a Chernobyl exactly. It's being discussed as a disaster, and there is discussion in the media of, this doesn't seem to be handled properly. Something weird's going on here. So most of the major newspapers haven't gone that deep in it so far. But here's another one. 3 additional chemicals have been discovered at the train derailment site. No wonder people are getting so sick. It's not just vinyl chloride. First News has been informed 3 more chemicals that were on the Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine over a week ago, and we are being told that those chemicals are dangerous. Oh, that's a good thing to be told. We basically nuked a town. This is what specialists are saying. We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get the railroad open. Right? That's what it was. They didn't want to spend the money to properly clean up the chemicals. They did not want to properly abate it. They did not want to get the materials, the equipment to cool down the tanks so they could properly abate it. That would have taken time. Norfolk Southern would have had to pay for that. Nobody wanted to do that. And the rail would have been fucking closed. Those trains need to get through. So what are they going to do? They're going to fucking burn the wreckage, make a huge burn zone, open the railroad, fucking nuke the environment with unimaginable amounts of toxins. Literally 5 million pounds of vinyl chloride. And now 3 more tanker cars filled with other chemicals. Right? They just fucking burned it because it was easy and cheap, and then when the railroad opened. The EPA has sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethyl hexane acrylate, and isobutylene, okay, were in the rail cars that derailed and or on fire. Ethyl hexyl acrylate is especially worrisome. It's carcinogenic, and contact with it causes burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose and throat and cause shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness or drowsiness when inhaled. I was surprised when they quickly told people they could go back home. But then they said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. You want your house tested? Whatever. You're really being a bit of a Karen. But sure, we'll test your home. How does next Friday sound? I would have rather they did all the testing first, Caggiano said. He said it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until they're cleaned thoroughly. A lot of what ifs. We're going to be looking at this thing in 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters pop up. Well, maybe the well water could have gone bad. Exactly. I mean, this is what specialists are saying, right? They're like, this is going to be they fucking nuked the town with cancer. It's a cancer nuke. And they know that. They knew that was going to happen. They obviously knew. They knew what the consequences of burning all this could be. So, here's the clip of that. And then we're going to see what DOT Secretary Buttigieg has to say, and then we're going to wrap up this segment. A hazardous materials expert recommends everyone in East Palestine gets a health checkup. Get a record of where your health stands, so moving forward, you have documentation that it's related to the train derailment. How bad is that this guy is saying, yeah, they're fucking lying. Go get a health checkup right now so you have a baseline health record so you can prove when you get sick, not if, when you get sick, that it was related to the train derailment, and they can't lie and try to stiff you, right? Get a baseline right now so you can prove that you got sick and you're dying from this.
And Boney, it's now been 10 days since Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine, and tonight we know more about the chemicals that were on the train.
First News digital reporter Jen Rodriguez has been in the village today taking a closer look at what else was on that train. She has those details and much more in our top story tonight at 6.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals.
Yeah, this was the guy that we just read.
So we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylhexyl acrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire.
Hey guys, how bad is that the EPA is the one to tell the rail company? Hey, shouldn't the fucking rail company have a record of what hazardous chemicals were in their train cars? Shouldn't they know that? Apparently they got to be told by the EPA, hey guys, remember you actually had more hazardous chemicals in there.
Caggiano says ethylhexyl acrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in.
Yep. We basically nuked the town. So, yes, that's right. There have been 2 train derailments today. To be fair, it looks like the one with 16 tankers full of hazardous materials, that was not derailed due to the operator error of the railroad. That appears to have been derailed by a semi-truck T-boning the train and being dragged along for several miles before derailing it. So, that's... the issue there is probably the fact that that trucker's been driving for 10 days. Let's go to Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, for comment. Oh, this is another video about the environmental disaster and how all the fish are dead.
You guys scooping out all the dead ones.
Cool. The authorities are just collecting all the dead fish. Why are they doing that? Oh, you guys are scooping out all the dead fish. Yeah, we're trying to.
Well.
Sorry, that was the wrong video. That was, that was workers suspiciously removing all the dead fish off camera. Here we go. I found it. All right. So, certainly, at this point, with 2 train derailments today, and the week after one of the biggest environmental catastrophes caused directly by the negligence of the Department of Transportation and the greed of the rail companies, surely, Mr. Buttigieg, #1 rat boy, the head of the Department of Transportation, probably has a lot to say on it. So, I've been thinking, maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he's keeping his mouth shut because he owes too much to the rail lobbyists to ever actually say anything that would blame them on the matter. But you know what? It seems like he was just trying to come up with the perfect statement. He was trying to research and get all the facts. So, I'm very excited to see what he has to say. Hopefully, he's going to assuage our concerns here.
To work with your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community.
Wait, what?
We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good-paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can...
Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely an issue of systemic racism. Wait, but what about the train derailment?
Build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level.
What? Wait, hold on. That's weird. Buttigieg made no mention of the derailment while speaking at a conference this morning, but did say too many white people worked construction. Okay, that can't be the right clip. That can't. Hold on. I'm sure he said something, right? I'm sure he said something. Let me look through my stream content suggestions. There's got to be another clip, right? There's got to be a clip of him saying something about it. I mean, he spoke at a conference today, right? It's not like the Department of Transportation, the head of the Department of Transportation, can just ignore a major disaster while speaking at a conference, right? Okay, I found another clip of him. Let's see. I bet he's probably going to address the derailment in this.
We've faced issues from container shipping to airline cancellation.
And we faced a toxic environmental catastrophe directly as the result of your department's deregulation. You're going to mention that, right?
Mm-hmm. Now we got balloons.
That's right.
Wait, why are you talking about the Chinese balloon?
But also the best time ever to be working transportation.
Wait, was that a laugh line? Wait, hold on. That was a laugh line?
The best time ever to be working transportation because of these resources. And
what?
We know ultimately it's in the hands of those who are on the ground that the biggest difference is going to be made.
Wait, what? Hey, doesn't your administration punch back against the rail unions? Wait, hold on. You said it's the best time ever to be working transportation. Huh. So that's right. That's the wrap up. These people don't fucking care. They do not care. Pete Buttigieg knows what happened in East Palestine. He was probably informed of the disaster before you and I were. I am sure he's been keeping tabs on this since it happened. Yet he has chosen not to say anything. Pointedly, he has not responded to the rail workers union. He has not responded to the media. He has not taken the opportunity of speaking at a fucking conference to say, you know, we are working at the Department of Transportation to try to make the industry safer for all the workers and give whatever boilerplate he wants to say, and we'll never let something like this happen again. No. Instead, the DOT is working to cut brake rules. Right now. At this moment. So, yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Future Horse here from the editing booth. It's been long enough since the initial stream that I am wearing the same shirt again. I washed it, don't worry. So, last time we spoke was about 4 days ago when I did the initial stream. Since then, we have had yet another train derail, this time in Michigan. So we ended with me saying that Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Mr. Pete Buttigieg, has refused to speak on the East Palestine disaster. Now, it has been about 11, 12 days since the incident, and Pete Buttigieg has finally spoken on it. So, in the essence of fairness, I'd like to add this into the video. Let's listen to what he has to say. I'm sure he's going to say, guys, this is a massive spill. This is dangerous. We need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law everyone involved in letting something like this happen. So let's listen to this. I'm sure we will be thrilled.
Look, rail safety is something that that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done.
Totally, dude. Rail safety has evolved quite a bit over the years since 1868, when the air brakes that all freight rails in the United States still use were invented. You're right. Rail safety has changed a lot since then. I think most safety has changed since 1868. There's no longer as much lead in the food.
Because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
Yes, that's right. That is Pete Buttigieg's statement on the matter. In this interview, he was like, well, you know, this has got a lot of attention. Safety's gotten way better, but, you know, this has got a lot of attention, and I think that's kind of unfair. We have over 1,000 trains derail a year in the United States. Trains are derailing all the time, and you don't hear the news talking about them. Listen, my department, under me, will make sure that we no longer have 1,000 trains derail a year in the United States. Instead, let's make that 1,500 trains a year. His department saying, hey, you got a massive chemical spill blocking the track? Burn the spill. Because those freight tracks are the lifeblood of America. And just like the average American, that blood is full of toxic chemicals. LaRouchites, death cult. Eco-fascists, death cult. Capital, death cult.